Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
It's really nice to be here. Thank you for welcoming me this weekend. So thank you for your hospitality. And I want to share a few words of Torah for us to chew on for this Shabbat. The parsha of the Shabbat is known as Dvarim. Anybody know what that word means? Things, stuff. Yeah, stuff and things, pretty much. And he's right. Thank you, Jonathan. Say that again? Yes, yes. So encoded in this parsha is the parsha of Dvarim. Say that with me. Dvarim, good. So is the word dibur. Say that. Dibur. Dibur means speech. It's what I'm doing right now. And eventually, on the journey of creation, the world is created with sound and then emerges and comes into a manifestation of something. So there was first had to be the idea of a guitar before a guitar is created. And that idea has to be vocalized and shared. And then that idea arranges itself in physical reality to become stuff and things, to become Dvarim. So does that make sense? Okay. So, and what we were saying, when we were chanting the Ve'ahavta before, it's Elu Hadvarim, Elu Hadvarim, and here are here's the words that are on your heart, and become them, live them. And so we are here at the very first chapter of the last book of Torah, of Deuteronomy, also known in Hebrew as Dvarim. And this is a chapter that recounts the words of Moshe. And not only the words of Moshe, but also the words of God. And in this chapter, it's kind of like a proof text. God and Moshe are saying, look, all of the things that we said were going to happen, happened. And you complained the entire time. Has anybody relate to that? Okay. Quick story. Renee's like, ah. I was hiking up a mountain in Colorado with a dear friend of mine who was feeling nervous and anxious that the sun was setting, and are we going to have enough food? Are we going to find a camp spot? And the entire journey, she worried. And I said to her, that's your choice. I'm not going to worry. I'm going to enjoy this view. But there is a way in which that the journey from dibur, to manifestation can be a journey that involves different emotions, and we have choices on how we are manifesting. And Moshe is frustrated. He's upset. He's like, oh my God, you guys, I'm trying my best to help you realize that God is guiding you, that you are not alone, that you are being shown a path, that if you can hear the words in your heart, that you're good. The rain will come in the right time, and you're going to be good. But there's a voice that maybe some of us in this room know very well, which is to doubt and to worry and to, nothing wrong with problem solving, but but to just push that reality out from our lives and say, no, 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 that cannot be. So that's where we are in the Parsha. Where else we are is we are in this time of just 7 weeks. We begin a process right now of 7 weeks out from the high holidays. Can you believe it? So we begin the process of what is known as a process of introspection. And we can have different feelings about this process. We can say, no, I don't want to do it. No, it's too overwhelming. I don't think I can do it. I'm alone. I can't. We can be like the Israelites and be like, no. And also, we can allow, this process is also a natural process in some way. We've reached the farthest end of the spiral of the year. And now it's time to begin to come back to the center and return again. And so naturally, we've erred. We've maybe made some mistakes. We've maybe acted out of alignment. We've maybe said something that hurt someone else. And now is a time to examine where can we do a little bit better. And on this Shabbat, a story, I'm going to tell you a story. This story is from the Talmud, and this story is often told on Tisha B'Av, or the Shabbat of Tisha B'Av, as a warning story and as a teaching story on how it's possible to really use our words to destroy. And what we're doing on Tisha B'Av, which is the saddest day of the year, it's just think about it for a second. On the saddest day of the year is we have to touch that grief of like the power of our own potential to destroy in order to come back and return on the spiral so that we can live a life of greater integrity. And so it is said that the reason for the destruction of the beloved temple of Jerusalem, the temple that was built by Solomon, the temple that perhaps had, a beautiful altar and had a balance of the elements of the water, the wine, and the bread, which is the earth, and the fire, obviously, and the earth, air, fire, and the air, which is the menorah, which was the fire, and the air, which is the shofar. Just this perfect balance, and there was the earth was being tended, and the people's sins were being tended, and people were having a chance to pray and belong to a place. And it is said that in the time of the first century, there was a great king in the land, and or a great ruler, a great master who was very wealthy, and he was having a great banquet, and he told his servant, invite my friends, and don't forget to invite Kamsa. And so the servant goes and brings the invitation to, he got it a little wrong. He brought it to Bar Kamsa. And what he didn't realize was that Bar Kamsa and this great wealthy man had a great argument, and they were mortal enemies. And it was probably something that happened in childhood, and it was probably something where they just couldn't get beyond themselves, and they couldn't own, and they couldn't say, I'm sorry, brother. I'm so sorry, brother, for hurting your feelings. They couldn't get to that place. So what happens? It's the night of the banquet. It's a beautiful spread, very elaborate, very wealthy. And into the banquet hall walks Bar Kamsa. And the man who's hosting is just like, what is happening? Get out of here. And Bar Kamsa says, whoa, I'm so sorry. This is in public. And he's just like, hey, dude, come on. I thought this was a peacemaking. Like, please, let me pay for half of this banquet. Let that be my gift to you. The ruler's like, no, you must go. No, let me pay for the whole thing. Let me just take care of this. Let me, please, let me make it up to you. No. Bar Kamsa was livid, just unbelievable. Like, I can't believe he just threw me out in front of everybody. My name, this is terrible. And have you ever felt this humiliation? Have you ever felt humiliated in front of a group before? Yes, I have. If anybody else in good company, like, of just this heat and this red and this fury and this anger. And he swears, I will take revenge. And he was very wealthy, clearly, and he had connections with Caesar, with the ruler in Rome. And as the legend goes in the Talmud, Bar Kamsa sends messengers to Caesar and says, these Jews are acting up. You don't understand. They are not following rules. They are doing their own things. Just see. And so Caesar says, okay, well, what should I do? And he's like, here, I'll prove it to you. Send them an offering, send the Jews an offering and see if they accept it. And so the Caesar was like, okay, well, I'll see if there's like an unruly part of my kingdom here. And so the Caesar sent over an unblemished animal. And on the way over, Bar Kamsa slashes the animal, and so that there's a blemish on the animal, because in the temple times, you were only supposed to sacrifice unblemished animals. And so this animal as a gift comes from Caesar to the temple, to the priests of Jerusalem, and they're like, oh no, what do we do? Should we accept the gift that is a blemished animal and sacrifice it and show to our people that we will not follow the letter of the law, but we will accept unblemished animals and sacrifice them to God? Or will we reject this gift, reject the gift from Caesar, and say, no, we cannot accept this? What do you think they did? A or B? B. Okay, so the story goes that they decided to reject the gift, and that was said to be a rebellion and a rejection of the Roman Empire, and that is what fed and seeded the violence that eventually led to destroy the temple. And now, so there's a great big argument about, following the letter of the law, and should that be? And a people with laws and guidelines, it's a process of how closely do you follow, how loosely do you go. We're not going to go there right now, but where I want to take us in this moment as we find ourselves here together on Tisha B'Av is, where in our lives are we destroying a sacred place in a relationship? And that's an intense question, but let's just for a moment imagine that we are in fact flawed. We are human beings, which means that we have flaws. And we are striving. The process of our lives is to continue to do tshuva, continue to do our very best to right our wrongs, to acknowledge where we have missed the mark, and to rebuild the little temples in our lives, and especially the temples of relationships. And what I see in this story is a tremendous tragedy. At so many moments, there were opportunities to do tshuva. And life will do that. Life gives us many, many opportunities. You don't take the first time, okay, another time comes. You don't take the second time, okay, another time comes. But where can we, in this next moment, as the next opportunity to do tshuva comes, where can we recognize that even if it's going to be a little vulnerable, we're going to have to say, I messed up. Bar Kochva, the ruler might say, you know what, I messed up. I'm so sorry that I humiliated you. What can I do to make it up for you? Or Bar Kochva could have said to the man, hey, I messed up 10, 20 years ago. What can I do to repay you? So where are those relationships in our lives where we can create a new temple, a new sacred space by owning where we might have gone wrong and saying, let's rebuild. Let's live, let's learn. The Shema, the Ve'ahavta says, let's learn from the book of love that is inside of your heart and refresh yourself from that place. Go to that place to learn how to be in the world. Don't just stay in the dysfunction of things not working and people building walls and just, I don't talk to that person. Oh, no, I don't talk to that person. No way, I don't go there. It's just, how do we continue to actually not build those walls, but break them down by being humble and growing and being willing to take the next step in the work of tshuva. So I want to leave that question for us as we journey into this Shabbat, the Shabbat of Chazon, and that I want to bless all of us with courage. Tomorrow, what can we do tomorrow just to make a little bit more, take a little bit more ownership and have a little more humility to create that space for love to live again. And that I want to bless bless our community, this community, and our wider community and our world, to be humble, to see where we are missing the mark, and to have the power to give an effective and glorious apology so that we can experience the bliss of living more holy and more in touch with love. Amen.